What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffeez for Closers. Today, I'm sitting down with a very special guest. This guest runs one of the biggest mortgage companies in the country. A very, very sincere guy, very down to earth, taking the mortgage industry by storm. We welcome the founder and CEO of Barrett Financial, Mr. Trevor Barrett himself.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that intro.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, cool. So, a lot of the public doesn't get to, kind of dive into the brilliance of Trevor Barrett. And, I myself have always, wanted to dive a little deeper in a conversation with you. And what better of a place than a podcast?
Yeah, I love it.
To learn about you, and then all those who, are looking at Barrett get to kind of see who Trevor is and get into the mind of Trevor. So I'm blessed and honored to have this opportunity, and thank you so much for coming. Bet a lot of people didn't know he looked like Brock Lesnar, huh?
I get that all the time.
Like, is that Brock Lesnar or is that Trevor?
I wish I had his body. It's just his body,
You probably did at some point.
When I was a lot younger.
Yeah,
so.
pre-dads, pre-6 kids. You look great 6 kids later.
6 kids, yeah. My wife is the one that had the kids, but I'm the dad. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You're able to feed them. So I like to start the podcast with the same question for everybody, and that is, what is Trevor Barrett's morning routine?
My morning routine, I get up when the sun comes up, so it's different. I get up, not in the winter time because it does come up later, but I get up, I look at my emails and do some work, and then I usually go to the gym first thing in the morning and work out with a group of guys that were, some played in the NFL, some played in the NBA. We work out for about an hour and a half and come back home, get ready for work, and go to work.
There's a gym in Arizona. I saw that on, I think it was Netflix or something. It's a special gym where all the NFL, NBA athletes go. Is that?
That's not the one I go to. I go to the one where probably a lot of lower ends. So.
That's because they're current NBA, NFL athletes.
These are the ex-ball players. So, yeah.
No, actually, it was a YouTube video I saw, and it's the most expensive gym on the planet, right? That's the one. It's in Arizona.
If you're training, like going into the NBA, or not just the NFL, NBA, like there's a whole bunch of different sports, but I've never been to. I hear about it. It's a really cool high-end gym.
Yeah,
that's not the one I go to.
Yeah,
so I go
prep your meals. They're all you're assigned a personal trainer. Yeah. But you're working out with ex-pro athletes.
Yeah, but I'm the 50 and older club working out. Those guys are older. So, yeah.
What kind of workouts do you do? You still squat? You still deadlift?
See, I don't squat, but we just honestly, it's more of a goof off time for a bunch of guys 50 and older. We just kind of jibber jabber, but we do lift. We lift heavy. We put up like two 25s our warm up on the bench, and we'll get up to about 315, 375. So.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's quite a bit of weight.
Yeah.
For the old guys, it's a lot of weight. So.
Yeah, so the NBA players can lift like that too?
There's 2 of them that can, yes.
Yeah, I mean the NFL guys, I'm sure. But
they're a little bit huskier today, so
yeah.
Than they were back in the day.
Yeah. So you started in the mortgage industry what year?
I actually started at a bank, Wells Fargo Bank. It was First Interstate Bank back in the day, back in 1993. And then I jumped over to the broker side in 98.
Is that when Barrett started?
I started Barrett in 2002, February 2002.
So you that's when you started your own company?
Started my own company in February 2002, yep.
Okay, so you've been in the industry for,
quite some time.
Yeah. So
longer than I like to admit.
You started a bank, Cush W2
I didn't start the bank. I started at the bank.
Yeah, you started at the bank, Cush W2 job.
Yeah.
Then you said, you know what? Forget this cushion. I'm going to go start my own company.
Yeah, so when I was at the bank, I was going to college. They helped pay for my college, so kudos, thanks to Wells Fargo Bank back in the day. And then I left the bank. The manager of the bank was like, hey, just stay in banking. And I'm like, I'm going to jump over to the mortgage side. I actually went to work for a company called AmeriQuest Mortgage. Worked there for about 4 months. And I was like, I heard about mortgage brokers, and that's when I jumped over to the mortgage broker world in 98.
And why did you leave the cushion of a W-2 secure job and then go, I'm going to just go start my own company?
At the bank, it was hourly, and they didn't pay a lot of money, you know, and you'd close a loan. Like I started off as a teller, then worked my way up to like a loan officer at the bank, and they just didn't pay a lot. It was pennies on the dollar. And when I left to work for a mortgage banker, I got a little bit more money. Then when I got to the broker world, I was like, oh, I can make a lot more money.
Yeah, yeah. But then you decided to start your own company, and that was the big risk.
Yeah, back in like when I worked as a mortgage broker in the 90s, they had what's called desk fees. And so my first desk fee was $1,800 back in the 90s. And I'm like, my house payment's it was just under $700. I'm like, I'm paying 3 times that for a desk. And all I had on it was just a desk and a phone. And when I started my own company, I was like, yeah, we're not going to do desk fees. And so in 2002, we started hiring loan officers, and they're like, there's no desk fee here? I'm like, nope, no desk fees. So.
What a scam, a desk fee, huh?
Desk fee. Yeah. I think real estate agents pay desk fees, but more in the mortgage industry, we don't pay them now. So
yeah. What did you study in college?
Finance.
Finance. Okay, so it was a kind of like a linear transition right into the mortgage space.
Graduated from Arizona State University. Go Sun Devils. Right there in Tempe, Arizona, and graduated with a finance degree.
Did you play football?
I didn't. I got married and we started having kids. I'm like, I got to work, and because not only did I work at the bank, I was delivering pizzas at night and had a paper out early in the morning back in those days, and going to school full time.
Wow. So you were hustling really young.
Really young.
Let me ask you, where did you get that sense of grit? Like to hustle 2 jobs in college?
It's 3 jobs.
3 jobs in college and go to college.
And go to college, yes.
So where did you get that? Who instilled that sense of grit?
You know, like my parents were hard workers. We didn't have a lot growing up. My mom, I remember her working in real estate, and when I was a kid, I asked her, I think I was 11 years old, I'm like, hey, I want to earn some money. And she was the office manager at Century 21. And I remember going to her office, and she's like, hey, why don't you clean the ashtrays? And so I would literally go there, and she'd pay me a few bucks, and that was like my first job, was cleaning ashtrays at the. You go into Century 20, it smelled like everyone smoked. Every desk had an ashtray on it. My mom didn't smoke, thank goodness, but back then, like every desk had ashtrays on it. I had to clean those ashtrays, and that's honestly like I'm gonna work. I want to start making money, and that's where I started.
How old were you?
I was 11, and then after that, I got a paper out. And I was like, one paper out's not good enough. I conned the newspaper place to give me 2 paper outs. I got up to 3 paper outs, delivering 3 paper outs, going to school as a kid. And then when I got into high school, I did play football in high school. And I played football, younger than that in Pop Warner. But I always had a job. I've always had a job, and sometimes 2 jobs.
And I was going to get into this in the show a little later, but we'll just talk about it now. It's, because you got 6 kids. I got 4. So between the 2 of us, we got, 10.
Yeah.
And managing 6 kids and hearing that you started your hustle at such a young age, it's like, how do you think, like, how are you instilling that same work ethic that you had as a kid in your kids now?
So like my kids are all required to get jobs and work when they're in high school. I'm like, if you want extra money, like you got to go get a job and work. And they all have their extracurricular activities, whether it's soccer or dance or my son playing football or basketball, whatever it is, like they always have to work. And so whether it's on the weekends or whatever it is, maybe it's coming to my office right now, but they go to work, and then I make them all go to college. And once they leave college, I tell them, if you want to come work for me, you got to go work somewhere else for a year, at least put a year in and then come work for me. But they've always worked. And even without a job, like there's jobs at home. My wife always has a massive chore list for all of her kids.
Yeah.
And so they're always working. My sons are like, oh, it's Saturday. I think they like going to school better than being at home because they knew there's work at home.
That's good, because one thing, I always interview everybody who has abundance, and for me and you, I'm a third world immigrant. You obviously also weren't very rich either as a kid, but our kids have the blessing of growing up in more of an abundance than you and I had. So the sense of urgency to grind is different. And hot topic for me is always like, how do we make our kids be like us?
Yeah.
And instill that level of grit in them that we were blessed to have because we just didn't have anything.
Yeah. Can I share something with you about?
Absolutely.
There was a point where I was making really good money, and I wanted to get some landscapers. So I hired landscapers. I kid you not, they showed up one day. They started doing the yards. My wife literally went out, paid him the money, and then fired him, and says, no, my sons and my husband will be doing this on Saturday. So we're always working.
That's
And
good.
even today, my boys know, and even my girls, because I have 3 girls, 3 boys, they just know that we're working on the weekends at home.
That's good. And you know what? That they're going to appreciate that, and it's actually some of the best time you're going to have with them.
Oh, absolutely. I look back, I'm like, those were fun times, of working in the backyard of my kids.
And right now, and I had someone on the show earlier, it's like, you could take them to all these fancy vacations, and they're going to remember working with you.
Yeah.
Like when they go write their papers, they're going to be like, oh, I was working with my dad, and they're not going to remember that you took them to Hawaii or whatever.
They might remember going to Hawaii, but they learn how to work and how to work hard, and I want them to have a good work ethic. So when it's just not working for me, like when my son worked at Deloitte, he was working 80 hours a week, like he was grinding, and working. And my daughter went to work for a big or a global consulting firm, and same thing. She was working 80 hours a week, grind. They didn't complain. It was crazy. Like we'd have these family vacations, and my kids were like, "Sorry, Dad, I can't go. I got to work." Or most people are like, "I'm going."
How old are your kids?
My oldest will be 27 this year, and my youngest are twins, and they're 17. They're in high school.
So your oldest is he's the one. So he's not in the mortgage industry. He's working for Deloitte.
He works for me now. Yeah, but he was at Deloitte.
And did he go down the like management route where he's kind of overseeing folks, or is he in origination?
No, when he was at Deloitte, Deloitte or Barrett. Yeah, Barrett. He's over recruiting.
Okay.
So he does recruiting, and then he also oversees. We have what's called Barrett Capital, our private money fund.
Oh, you guys have.
He helps manage that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had Barrett Capital.
We have Barrett Capital. Yeah.
Are you opening out to the broker community, or is that just?
Right. We will eventually open up to the broker community nationwide.
But it's still in like beta at Barrett.
So yeah, we just rolled it out. We've been working on it since last year. It rolled out this year, beginning of this year. We're in a capital raise right now. We're raising $100 million. Our goal is to get to $1 billion, but we will eventually roll it out to the whole broker community.
And then are you doing seconds, first, both?
We'll do both, mostly first. So
first lien positions?
Yep.
Private money, so it's 10%, 11% rates?
Yeah, most of them are like 11, 12. It's just asset based. We're not looking at we're not pulling credit. We're not looking at tax returns. We're looking at the actual property itself and lending on that.
And it's nationwide right now?
Nationwide right now.
Well, that's good to know because some of the private money lenders we have are state specific, like 15, 20 states.
And when we roll it out to all the brokers nationwide, we will protect the brokers. So when there's a payoff, we'll let the broker know. We want to make sure we're going to protect the brokers.
That's good. Yeah, because you already know the broker game. You already mastered that.
We literally will protect brokers nationwide. So if they send us a deal, we will kick it back to them when it's time to get paid, when the loan's paid off, or when we know there's a payoff.
That's good to know. I had no idea Barrett Capital existed,
Barrett Capital.
But that's good. See, that is awesome because now you put your son in a position. He's finance background, so Deloitte. I'm assuming he was an accountant.
He was an accountant.
Yeah, and they make him grind there. What a great place for him to start to cut his teeth.
And he worked on he was in mergers and acquisitions, so he worked on some really big, multi-billion-dollar mergers. And he was a low man on the totem pole, but he was, he
That's
knows
even better.
all about that. Yeah.
That's even better that he was a low man on the totem pole. And I only can wish because you already walked the walk here with your kids. There have already went to graduated college, went to and worked at Deloitte, grinded 80 hours a week. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And
we're proud of them.
Yeah. And one thing I really admire about you is that you're so distanced. Like a lot of brokers succumb to the ways of the world, alcohol or drugs or a sinful lifestyle, right? You've managed to totally stay away, keep straight and narrow, no alcohol, no coffee, no nothing, and it's a testament, your leadership style, and and obviously your children are also a result. They see that this isn't accepted in our household.
Our faith, we don't drink, we don't smoke. I try not to use cuss words. I live a really boring life. To me, I love it. I have a very fulfilled life. My wife and I have been married for 30 years. But we raised our kids, just we want them to be the best they can be. And we're all about, giving back and helping the community and serving those that are that are less fortunate to, just help people out.
Yeah, that's not a boring life. That's an awesome life.
I love it. But for most people, they might think, oh, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't party. And like, that's just not me. So,
Yeah, well, first off, like, when people learn that, they go, oh, this is terrible. Like, what am I doing to myself? Like, adding toxins to my body all day long. But it's, like, scientifically proven. Like, there's more centennials Mormons than there are anyone else, Like, and there's a reason for that. Because they just didn't destroy their body.
Yeah.
And, you're going to live to 100, and you're going to see your great-grandkids.
Absolutely. I'm really big on being healthy.
Yeah.
Want to do what's right. Put only good things in your body. Sometimes I'll eat more donuts than I should, but
you just have to work out longer at the gym. So what do you think inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. When I was going to college, I was working for the bank, and I was just like, I just felt I was stuck. Like when I got married, I wanted to do more and make more. And so, when I graduated from college, I remember taking a leap of faith when I went to go work for that broker shop, because I remember the broker's name was Jerry Craig at Spectrum Financial, and he gave me a desk, and he's like, here's a desk, and there was a phone on it, not even a computer. He's like, good luck, and he shut the door of that office. And I was like, I got to pay an $1,800 bill here, but I was like, I got to make this happen. And so, I don't know. There's a point in life you just got to take a risk, And I was glad to do that at a really young age, because I didn't have much to lose, because I didn't have anything at the time, I was just married. My wife and I didn't really have much, Everything we had was used, and so I took that leap of faith and ran for it, and it actually worked out and panned out really well.
A lot of people don't take that leap of faith. And can you imagine if you didn't take that risk, if you didn't have that faith, you wouldn't be where you're at. So I'll tie it to this question. How important is it now for you and your business to continue to take risks?
We take risks now. They're very calculated. We make sure that we're not going to lose everything. We want to make sure that we do the right. We still take risks. We do it all the time, especially as we, like Barrett Capital, we take on, when we're doing loans, we want to make sure that we just want to make sure we protect the assets of not just the company, but the family too, You want to protect yourself, especially the older you get.
Yeah. I mean, you've been doing this 25 years. Now, one thing I really like about Barrett, you guys have a lot of talented people there. How are you continuing to foster talent at Barrett?
With us, like, we don't hire. We're not a training ground. We don't bring on newbies. We only look for guys that are and gals that are very qualified. And so when we hire someone today, we look at how much production they've done in the past, and then we'll bring them on board. And then we're all about, education, helping them grow. My thing is, if they're successful, I'm successful. So what do I got to do to make them successful? So we'll give them the tools, the resources. We work with great lenders. UWM is one of our top lenders. We love them. And we got a great account executive team there that helps us accomplish that.
Nice. Now, if I were to ask you the best piece of advice you've ever received, what would that be?
A guy named Greg Olson. He owns a very successful construction company in Arizona. He once told me, multimillionaire, he once said, Trevor, the highs would be higher and the lows would be lower. So it's like, he said, when you're having a great year, and on a real high, he says, take all your money and save it. Don't spend it. Put it all away. And his big thing was stay out of debt. And that was probably the best advice I've ever had, because when the lows do come, and they always come, especially in the mortgage business, you can get through the hard times. It's a lot easier to get through the bad times when you've saved up during the good times.
How old were you when you got that piece of advice?
I was in my probably late 20s.
So if you were to go back to your younger self, what's the best piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Probably that same exact advice, stay out of debt. Stay out of debt. And when it's good times, if I had to go back, there were times like in my 20s when I was doing really well in the mortgage industry. And when you're in your 20s, you're like, oh, I made, a couple extra bucks. I'd go do something stupid. It's nothing stupid. Let's go to San Diego and where you live, because we think San Diego is the greatest place on earth, but we'd do these little mini vacations. I'd probably not do as many. I would have put more money way back in my 20s and invested it. I would probably do that.
I mean, listen, you still had to live life. You were grinding,
Yeah.
and it was the hottest in the summer in Arizona. I mean, I understand your need to want to like leave there. So
It gets hot in Arizona in the
yeah,
summertime. Yeah.
so it's like you could only like grind, and then you're in excruciating heat. Like you deserve a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'd go on breaks like every 3 months,
yeah.
And it'd always be in San Diego, your neck of the woods.
Yeah. I'm in Newport Beach and San Diego, so I
Okay.
have a second house in San Diego. I'm like Newport, then San Diego, Carlsbad. Carlsbad's also a really nice
I love
place.
Carlsbad, yeah. We'd go to Oceanside back in the day.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, San Diego, they say is the best place in the country
Yeah.
in terms of weather in the summer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so and there's just so much to do with the kids. It's
Yeah.
like endless options. Now, what are some of the bigger challenges that you face in building Barrett, you think?
So Barrett has I think we have over 1,600 team members, employees. And so just managing that. And so, it's a challenge to manage that many people. And so I make sure that we hire great managers. And so our managers, we just want to make sure they're well qualified to help manage the whole team. That's all I'm saying. And compliance, we want to make sure that we do everything by the book, make sure all of our I's are dotted and all of our T's are crossed. So I'd say compliance, to make sure that we're doing things the right way. We're really big on compliance. And when we have an exam, an auditor comes in, we always have flying colors. I'd say it's probably our biggest challenge because, we're in 49 states. And so one auditor might say, do something this way. And another auditor might say, do it this way. And so it's just trying to put all those puzzle pieces together.
They just rolled out the SES multi-state exams, and they're kind of like a nightmare right now, but I feel like it's starting to point the auditors in the right direction. Because now all the states will get on the same page.
Yes.
And if they can all just agree, it'll make our life easier. But while they kind of get their ducks in a row in this like pilot phase that they're on, did you go through an SES exam yet?
We probably have 3 or 4 going on at any given time.
Oh yeah, at any time. No, but the SES ones are like 5 states at the same time. So those are just like much more comprehensive because it's like, oh, we need this and we need this. And they're all getting on the same page. But I'm like, well, if you guys just would all tell us at the same time, then we could just form systems around everything concurrently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus like you guys just telling us you need that, and then why don't we just give you all everything?
It's hard because we were in the same boat. Like we just had one regulator's like your call log needs, or your mortgage log needs to have this on it. Another one saying it's got to have that on it. So it's just, I feel like they all say different things.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get it all.
That's why I like
one big place to be
SES.
nice. Yeah.
I mean, I like it in this. I know it's annoying right now for how comprehensive it is, but it's like you guys finally get it. You should communicate.
Yeah.
Like almost like their own broker. Like we have our association now. Brokers are communicating. Like now the states have their own kind of like mini association. They can communicate a little bit better. Like for an originator to be successful, or any entrepreneur who joins Barrett or the broker community, is there a specific mindset that you think one must have to be successful?
We want to make sure that they're actually working. Our whole thing is like we're big on purchases. We've always been a purchase shop, and so we want to make sure they're out. That they have that realtor relationships, that they're out building relationships with real estate agents. And maybe it's not relationships with real estate agents, maybe it's divorce attorneys, or maybe it's an accountant, or whoever it is. We just want to make sure they're out work, just continuing to grow their business, and we're going to help them. And so we probably have every day, Monday through Friday, there's multiple Zoom trainings and team meets, and every Monday we have, we'll bring a guest in from outside to help you build your business. And so we just look for good qualified guys and gals that know how to grind and work hard.
Yeah. The one thing I find, because we have meetings every day too, it's like adoption rate of getting these independent guys to show up is so tough. Anything that you're putting into place to like make sure people like show up and do their job?
Like for us, like on our Monday ones, we make sure we try to get the CEOs of the large mortgage companies. It's like, I know Matt Ishbia has got one coming up. We just had Glenn Stearns the other day. We have Barron with New Res, and we have Chris Vinson with Windsor. My mind just went blank. Yeah, so we make sure that we're bringing like top people that are successful, to give the tidbits of what made them great, so we can get it out to our LOs to go out and dominate.
Yeah, kind of like a podcast on Zoom for your
yeah,
LOs.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we open it up for questions and answers, at the end. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
we do it
that's
every
great.
Monday.
That's great. Little Monday rally.
Yep. Money making Mondays is what we call it.
Money making Mondays.
Money making Mondays. So
that's good. Set them off on the right pace.
Yep.
You do that early in the morning, or
we did 11 o'clock Pacific time.
Pacific time. Yeah, that's seems to be like the sweet spot in terms of timing for our meetings too. 11 o'clock. Everyone's kind of like got their emails out of the way.
Yeah. And we have a big lot. We have a lot of LOs on the East Coast, so it works for them. 3 hours later for them.
That's awesome. Now, I noticed like you have awesome grind. You're always continuing to grow. Now, after all this success that you've had, and you really don't need to grind because you've had a lot of financial success, how do you continue to find that motivation to get up early, to grind as hard as you do, to continue to want to scale?
I don't know. I think it's just instilled in me. It's not like it's like I remember a couple years when I was in college. I told myself when I'm 50, I'm out. That was my goal. When I'm 50, I'm out. I'm going to retire. I turned 50 a couple years ago. My wife and I met with our financial planner. He's like, you don't have to work again. And I was like, this sounds like a really boring life of just being home, doing yard work all day long for, 6 days a week, because Sundays we take off, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to keep grinding at work, So I don't know. It's just something that was instilled in me as a kid from my parents. I just, I think I'll work probably till I'm 85,
Yeah, my dad still works.
Yeah.
Every day. He's a doctor, so every day.
Yeah.
Works Monday through Friday. So
and he probably doesn't need to work.
Yeah, he doesn't need to work. Yeah. And for him, it's like, when I noticed, like with my dad, I'm like, I think if he didn't work, like, what would he do? Like, that's his purpose. Like, he just wants to genuinely help people who are sick. And then a lot of folks, like, if you stop working, you die. So there's a saying.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? The mortgage grind, though, like, is harder than, like, being a doctor. It's not like you go to be a doctor, you're on a W-2 pay. You don't, like, you don't have 100,000 regulators after you all day long.
Yeah.
Like, we have a different level of entrepreneurship just because we happen to be in the most hyper-regulated industry where all day long, especially for you and I, people just, like, take shots at you,
And it's stressful.
And it's
the mortgage industry, I feel, is very stressful.
Yeah. So how do you deal with the stress?
Honestly, that's why I go to the gym in the mornings, just to work out because it helps relieve the stress, and it's a healthy way to, it's not smoking, it's not drinking, it's a healthy way to decompress. Like, honestly, it really is. And then in the evening, I like doing things with my family, whether it's, hanging out with, I have my first grandkid, hanging out with her, or playing games with my other kids, just doing something with my family when I leave work, I leave it to work at work, and I come home and be with my family.
Yeah, and you got your first grandkid. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. She's 3 months. 3 months old. Love it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, little baby. I love holding her. Like, I would hold her every day if I could,
Yeah, and I heard, the Bible says, that's like your jewel is your grandchildren.
Yeah.
Like, so what's it like going from parent to grandparent?
Honestly, it's like I can't wait to have. I got my oldest son's getting ready to have a kid, so I'll have 2 here soon. But I have a lot more patience now than I did when I had my first kids, or when my kids were a lot younger. If my grandkids, they break things in the house, I could care less. My granddaughter literally threw up on my shoulder the other day. I could care less. If I was wearing a $1 shirt or a $100 shirt, it did not matter to me. Where back when I was younger, I was like, oh my gosh, my kid threw up on my hair. Hand the kid off to the wife, but I could care less now.
Yeah,
a lot more patience, it's just a shirt, it's material. Who cares, Get another one, Run to Walmart, Target, get another one.
It's unbelievable to hear that perspective because you just hear. I mean, I can only I pray to have grandkids one day, and it's definitely a huge goal to accomplish that because then that means you did something right, and you're a young grandpa.
52.
That's young.
Is it young?
Yeah, that's a young, especially by today's society standards. Yeah. I mean, I'm going on a dad's group, camping trip this weekend, and it's a Newport Beach dad's group, and I'm the youngest dad there, and I'm 42. Some of these dads are 50 something, you know, 50.
Just starting out. Huh?
They got 9, 10-year-old girls, you know,
Wow.
like they're like Corona Del Mar dads. They're this like
Okay.
subsection of Newport Beach, you know, doing these camping, just like kind of Girl Scout type things. But yeah, like much older, much older.
Well, I'm actually glad I'm where I'm at in life because I want to be able to enjoy those days with my grandkids.
Yeah, those people won't see grandkids probably.
I want to go to soccer games and baseball games, and football games with my grandkids, and track meets, whatever it is, dance, whatever it is.
Yeah, and you'll be able to actually, you know, help them pitch.
Yeah,
you know, or help
absolutely.
them hit the ball. You know?
How fun would that be?
Yeah.
Help coach. I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had the. Did you coach your kids?
I did coach my kids, yes.
All sports?
Well, the boys. Let's back up. So I have 3 boys. I coached them in almost all their sports. The girls, my girls did dance. They did soccer. I did not coach any of those. Actually, I take that back. I did coach one of my daughters in flag football.
And they played baseball, basketball, football?
My sons played, they played football, basketball. We're big. We love baseball, but my kids never played baseball. But we love baseball.
So you coach basketball and football. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was an assistant coach, but after hearing Matt coaches all his kids' sports, every sport, basketball, baseball, and football.
And his daughter too, and that's one thing. If I could go back, I would have loved to coach my daughters in something. You know.
Yeah, I'm lagging, so I'm gonna step up my coaching game. This is one thing I love about these podcasts. I ask about parenting advice all the time.
Well, you got to coach your kids. It's the best.
Yeah, it is. And I'm going to make more time for it because it's just an important part of the journey. That's why I'm encouraging him more in basketball because I still play basketball, so I have a little bit more experience. Baseball, I'm kind of like clueless about.
Yeah. You know, for me, like family is the most important thing in my life, more important than work. I mean, my family means everything. So the more time I can spend with them, the better off I am and the better person I'm going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how important is it, like, running your business and your faith concurrently? How and implementing your faith in running your business?
Yeah, you know, they do go together, even though there are, like, you know, we'll have, like, I don't know, I feel like they do cross over, but I don't bring religion or any type of politics into work. I never have. I respect everyone regardless of what their faith or what their political views are. You know, if we have a holiday party or, you know, a work party, there will be alcohol there. I won't drink it. You'll see me with a water bottle in my hand, but I respect, you know, people's views and, you know, and I never want to, like, cross that bridge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but it's more like you live a faithful life and you implement a servitude mentality in your business.
For like us, like we're really big like in serving, and so my faith, we're real big on giving back and serving those, like anyone, you know. And so even as a company, we're big on giving. We have a thing called Barrett Gives Back, and so we ask that all of our employees, like when you get one of the interviewing questions you come on board is, what are you doing for your community now? And so we want to make sure our employees are always giving back, whether it's serving at a school, a PTO, whatever, helping kids in sports. You know, we want to make sure we give back. And so, you know, we have been in the past, you know, we will pay off school like the debt of we'll take a school district, find out how much debt they have for school lunches. We'll pay it off as a company. It's a cool thing, that one of those things that we do. We'll bring our company together. We'll do these Feed My Starving Children, you know, and grab everyone and have them go to like these, you know, you're packaging meals up for those that are in need. Like we do that every year, and people love it. You know, they feel good when they're out serving and helping others. In the mortgage business, we're very blessed. You can make a lot of money, and so we want to make sure that we're giving back.
Yeah, it's paramount. It's paramount because this is all going to be gone at some point.
Yeah.
But guess what? Barrett Gives Back is going to outlive you.
Absolutely.
It's going to outlive you for generations and generations, and it'll probably be the only thing you're remembered for.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope that's all people remember us when they're retired. I remember giving back. That was a great thing our company did.
That's the only thing that's important.
Yeah.
And God bless you for doing that.
Well, thank you.
And continue to give you the abundance to do that, and do that in greater prosperity. Do that, you know, even more.
And honestly, Joe, it's my employees that that rally around that. It's just not me, but my employees, our team members, they love doing it, and they're the ones that are the biggest proponent of it. You know.
And the fact that you have the means and the willingness to do it's very, very important. Um, so, so we're winding down here, and as we kind of wind down, I want to ask you, a couple questions. First off, what do you foresee in the future for the mortgage industry?
Oh, that's a good question. I like seeing like, I felt like when the crash happened, I felt like there wasn't then back in 2008, 2009, 2010, I feel like there wasn't a lot of people, like you didn't graduate college and say, I want to go, I want to go into mortgage. No one wanted to do that. And so I felt like back then, like all the way up like from 2010 to 2020, I felt like it's more of an older generation of people working. And lately, this last few years, I see a lot more the younger crowd, younger generation coming on board. And I love it, and so, it's just nice to get the younger people influence, have them come work for us and the influence they have and their perspective on working, and they're more into social media than the older crowd is, and that's a neat thing to see. So
Yeah, so I think a lot more young people, actually young people want to join the mortgage industry from college. An industry, it's like, I joke, but I say, mortgages are the same thing as kind of like student debt. Like nobody wants a mortgage and nobody wants student debt, but but everyone wants the house and everyone wants the degree. And so us appealing to youth, it's becoming more relevant because they're seeing us more on social. They're seeing like, oh, this is actually something that looks cool.
Yeah.
This is actually like a cool career. So there's a lot to be said about that. Now, I have one of my closing questions. It's a three-pronged question. It's what is a personal goal that you have for yourself? What is a family goal that you have for the family? And what's a goal that you have for Barrett?
the personal goal I've always had for myself is to lose weight. I'm at 300 pounds. I've been at 300 pounds for a long time. So if I could lose a few pounds, I have it every year as my goal to lose weight. But also one of my goals, I'm always wanting to learn more. Like, okay, what do I do to increase my knowledge? What am I going to do this year to make myself better? As a family, our goals are, we want to make sure that we do things as a family. Like we always have, whether it's a trip or whatever, like those are some of our things. Like, hey, we want to go here, and we want to make sure that the whole family can come together. And honestly, we do things that don't cost a lot of money, like going to San Diego. We're going to spend our time on the beach, and honestly, we're going to be on the beach playing games, and that's like those are things I look forward to, and our whole family does. And so, things that just don't cost a lot of money, or we're going to a park to play kickball, like things that just bringing everyone together and having
You get all 6 kids to come too.
yeah, and their spouses, and like it's fun.
That's
The
awesome.
ones that aren't married, they bring a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, or their friends. But just that, my goal as a family is that what can we do every year? Like we sit down, like what are things that we can do as a family? Because as my kids, they're older. I only have 2 left at home. I just want to make sure they can come home or we can all be together at certain times of the year. So. Then as a company, we have a lot of goals as a company. Like right now we have, we want to get to 3,000 loan officers. We're at, I think we're coming up on 1,500.
1,500 of those now?
It's 14 and change, yes. So,
Wow.
another goal we have is, making sure we're closing less than 15 days on all the loans we close, like calendar days, including the weekends. And right now we're at 13. We want to make sure we maintain that goal. We have goals as a company, like on our warehouse line, make sure they're off the warehouse line within 4 days. Most of them, I think 3.5 is our average. And so, like everyone at my company has a goal. Like we have these team meets every month as a whole, like all of our operations. But weekly, we have these weekly huddles, just like I know UWM has weekly huddles. We stole their ideas, so we do these weekly huddles of where we're at on their goals. And so everyone has a goal, and we want to make sure that we reach those goals. And if we're not, how do we get there? And if we've already met it, let's set another goal. Let's become better. One of my best mentors in life, back when I was 19, I remember his name's Scott Clark. He's like, Trevor, he said, there's always room for improvement, regardless of what you're doing in life, whether it's at work, your marriage, being a parent, there's always room for improvement. So even when you're doing great and things are going well, there's still room for improvement.
Always is.
Yeah.
The moment we stop growing is the moment we start dying.
Yep.
One last question, and it's a question we all have to kind of ask ourselves one day. It's, when you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
Well, I hope he gives me a big hug and says, welcome, because I try to live my life doing the right thing and doing the right thing for all those that are around me and those that work for me. Money doesn't mean anything to me. It's just, what means to me is my family and doing the right thing. So I think he'll say, welcome, glad you're here, missed you, come on in.
That's what I knew you were going to say, because you deserve that.
Yeah.
You are doing the right thing. God bless you. God bless your kids, and give you many, many grandkids.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I hope so.
I
That would be
hope
the
so,
biggest blessing in the world, is just grandkids.
Yeah, and I hope that many people will see this, kind of learn from who you are as a person and try to emulate who you are, because you're a beautiful soul and you're a servant leader, and that's what it's about, and that's why you've built greatness. So
I appreciate it. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks.
Coffeez for Closers, Trevor Barrett, the legend. Thanks for watching.